Fort Smith leaders voting to end a contract with the city auditor 2 days after making the hire. We'll have the details ahead. And the Arkansas Department of Health is issuing a warning in Fort Smith after a visitor from out of state was diagnosed with measles. What to know coming up.
Covering news where you live. This is 5 News at noon.
Well, thank you for joining us for your 5 News at noon. I'm Morgan Wrigley here with meteorologist Stephen Elmore. All week we've been talking about those rain chances, thunderstorm chances. Yeah. And it seems like we've had a few, but it's just kind of been here and there.
Yeah, over the past 24 hours, if anything, the rain chances for today have decreased by a lot. I think overall, maybe a few stray showers later on this evening will be possible. But for the most part, just dealing with a lot of that cloud coverage out there, but still seeing a good mix of sunshine out there. Your Friday shaping up to be pretty nice overall. Now, those rain chances that we were talking about more than likely coming into the forecast by the time we get to our Saturday evening. If you have plans this weekend, I still wouldn't cancel them. If anything, the best window that you're going to have is your Saturday morning into the afternoon. And then once again for our Sunday afternoon, looks pretty nice. But I tell you what, I just stepped outside and it's gorgeous out there right now. Sure, we've got a layer of cloud coverage moving in across parts of northwest Arkansas and the River Valley. But when it comes to those rain chances, not so much so far this afternoon. A few spotty showers will still be possible by the time we get later on this evening. Take a look outside. Really just a good mix of sun and clouds across the area. A lot better than what it was this morning where we had a lot of that fog. Now, by the time we got closer towards 9 a.m., most of that fog had already started to burn off. So northwest Arkansas, the rest of the day today, more than likely, we see a mix of sun and clouds over the next several hours. Those daytime highs right around those upper 70s. Now, again, this evening, we could see maybe a spotty shower or two, but overall, I think the rest of your Friday night should be pretty nice outside. Across the River Valley, same story, a mix of sun and clouds out there. Temperatures will warm back up into those low 80s for today. If you have any plans this evening, overall should be pretty nice, staying into those low 80s, if not into those upper 70s by the time we get late this evening. Again, going into your weekend forecast, more than likely on your Saturday evening, we're going to be dealing with another round of some heavy rainfall, maybe even a few of those isolated thunderstorms. We'll cover that weekend forecast coming up in just a bit.
The Trump administration is trying to put pressure on Russia and Ukraine to finalize a peace deal. Negotiations are continuing today as Russia launched another strike overnight on Kyiv. Natalie Brand has the latest from the White House.
As President Trump left the White House headed for Rome, he described talks between Russia and Ukraine as fragile but coming along.
We're going to try and get out of war so that we can save 5,000 people a week. I think we're pretty close.
President Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, is in Moscow Friday to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin for a 4th time. It comes as Ukraine says Russia fired more than 100 drones overnight, killing multiple people. An elderly woman and child are reported to be among the victims. Just Thursday, President Trump called for Putin to stop the bombing and said the U.S. is putting pressure on Russia. He was asked what concessions Moscow is prepared to make.
Taking the whole country, pretty big concession.
A major sticking point in negotiations is Crimea, seized by Russia in 2014. In a new interview with Time magazine, President Trump said Crimea will stay with Russia.
They made a decision. There wasn't a bullet fired. There was no fighting. There was no anything. They just handed it over. Now they say, well, can you get it back? I think that's going to be a very difficult thing to do.
Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov spoke to CBS News Face the Nation moderator Margaret Brennan about the negotiations.
We are really polite people, and unlike some others, we never discuss in public what is being discussed in negotiations. Otherwise, negotiations are not serious.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has said his country will not recognize Russian control of Crimea. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Today is the final day for the public to pay their respects to Pope Francis before his funeral tomorrow morning at the Vatican. Tens of thousands have come to pay their respects so far at St. Peter's Basilica. With much of tomorrow's funeral ceremony taking place outside, a huge security operation is unfolding. Snipers will be stationed on rooftops, drone detecting technologies in place. Around 8,000 security forces patrol the streets. Meanwhile, 135 cardinals are eligible to vote in next month's conclave to choose Pope Francis's successor.
Certainly want somebody with his gracious, humble, simple, loving style.
The date of the conclave is expected to be announced after the funeral. Well, you can watch the funeral of Pope Francis tomorrow in a CBS News special report right here on Channel 5. Coverage begins at 3 a.m. our time on CBS and streaming on CBS News 24/7 and Paramount Plus. Here at home, just 2 days after making the hire, the Fort Smith Board of Directors has voted to terminate a contract with the city auditor. On Tuesday, the board appointed Rebecca Cowan to the post, responsible for ensuring efficiency and accountability across all city departments. She was set to start next month with an annual salary sitting at $110,000 a year. But it's been discovered that Cowan was booked into the Sebastian County Jail last year on an out-of-state warrant. This all stems from a felony stalking charge in LaFleur County. The exact details in that case have not been released yet. However, Cowan is set to appear in court on May 21st. With the 95th Arkansas legislative session now wrapped up, Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders is reflecting on what she calls tough but necessary decisions made this year. Reporter Rebecca Brown sat down with the governor to get her thoughts on this year's legislative session.
The 95th General Assembly is in the books, and Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders calls it a success.
I think we had a tremendously productive legislative session. We have some great things that came out of the partnership of the last couple of months. Everything from Arkansas Access, which was one of the big priorities that I had going into this session, really building on what we were able to do through Arkansas Learns.
Another point of pride for the governor, eliminating the state grocery tax. While that push saw unanimous support in the legislature, a bill targeting pharmacy benefit managers split lawmakers.
You recently just signed that into law. Was that a hard thing for you to do?
It really wasn't, and it shouldn't be hard. I'm proud that Arkansas is leading on this issue. For far too long, the PBMs have been the drug middleman and frankly passed the cost on to the consumer.
The CVS sent out a statement saying they'll close 23 stores, 500 employees will lose their job. Are you worried at all any pushback from other companies thinking about coming to Arkansas to establish any business?
That's a choice that CVS is making. They are choosing the PBMs over their stores and their patients here in the state of Arkansas.
But not every bill supported by the governor made it to her. A push to create more funding for her planned prison failed 5 times in the Joint Budget Committee. I asked the governor how she plans to keep the project moving forward.
This is a legislature that overwhelmingly passed and supported the PROTECT Act, essentially demanding and putting the responsibility for us to build a new prison. They've set money aside specifically for that purpose. We're going to use that, and we're going to continue to go through the process and get the job done.
And Franklin County is still the perfect location for this to be done.
That's still the best location that we have identified anywhere in the state.
Finally, she addressed the headlines making national news. The federal government denying disaster aid for Arkansas after multiple severe weather events.
We have since appealed that decision. I spoke with Secretary Kristi Noem yesterday. We expect this to be processed quickly, and we've provided additional and extra information that bolsters the need. At the end of the day, though, I've talked to the president, I've talked to Secretary Noem. We want to make sure that people are taken care of, and we're going to continue to work to ensure that happens.
Well, in Fort Smith, the Arkansas Department of Health is issuing a warning after a person from out of state who was infected with measles was in the city. The ADH listed Mercy Hospital and Best Friends Pet Clinic as the exposure sites. They say the infected person made stops at both Fort Smith locations in the past week. They're urging anyone who may have been exposed to get up to date on their MMR vaccine and to monitor symptoms, which can take 3 weeks to develop. The health department says the patient was at Mercy Hospital on Saturday, April 19th from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Best Friends Pet Clinic on Monday night from 5 to 8. ADH did not provide any details about the patient or what state they were traveling from. The current number of confirmed cases in Arkansas is 3.
It's very concerning. This is the community. It's the community. It's the kids. Everybody needs to be as safe as possible.
Meanwhile, some community members in Texas say they're concerned about measles outbreaks across the state. The Associated Press reports 2 unvaccinated children in West Texas died from measles-related illness earlier this year, and an adult in New Mexico died in March. And on Thursday, Tennessee health officials confirmed a measles outbreak, bringing the number of U.S. states with outbreaks to 10. New research shows the drop in childhood vaccinations could allow some diseases to make dangerous comebacks. According to a modeling study from the Journal of the American Medical Association, fewer vaccinated children will lead to more outbreaks of preventable infectious diseases, eventually returning to endemic levels. The data points to measles at the top of that list. The U.S. has recorded 800 cases this year, most of them in Texas.